They told me I would never be family material and banned me from their exclusive anniversary celebration. 5 years later, they watched in horror as my husband and I purchased every available property on their prestigious street, transforming from the unwelcome outsider into their new landlord. My name is Isabella Chen Martinez, and this is the story of how social rejection became the catalyst for building generational wealth and community influence that no amount of inherited privilege could match. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. The call came on a Tuesday morning while I was reviewing quarterly reports for my consulting practice. Margaret Whitfield's voice carried that particular tone of controlled disdain that wealthy families perfect over generations of excluding people they consider beneath their social status. She was calling to inform me that the annual Whitfield family anniversary celebration at their Hamptons estate would be adults only this year. And since David and I had been married for only 18 months, I was not yet considered immediate family for such intimate gathering. The conversation lasted exactly 4 minutes and 37 seconds. I know because I was so stunned by the calculated cruelty that I stared at my phone timer long after she had disconnected. Margaret had managed to exclude me from a celebration of marriage, while simultaneously questioning the legitimacy of my own marriage to her son. The message was crystal clear. I was tolerated as David's choice, but would never be accepted as a true member of the Whitfield legacy. Before we continue with this journey of transformation and ultimate triumph, I want to acknowledge everyone who joins me in sharing stories of individuals who refuse to accept the limitations others place on them. If you believe that character and determination should prevail over inherited privilege and social gatekeeping, please consider subscribing. These stories reach more people who need to hear them when you engage with this content. Your support helps us build a community where authentic success and strategic thinking are celebrated over circumstances of birth. David Whitfield represented everything that well-meaning friends had warned me against when we began dating 3 years earlier. He was the heir to a commercial real estate empire built over 4 generations, a Harvard MBA graduate who had never experienced financial uncertainty, and the beloved only son of a family that traced their American lineage back to the Mayflower. I was a first-generation college graduate whose parents had immigrated from Mexico with nothing but determination and an unshakable belief in education as the pathway to opportunity. Our relationship had begun during a professional networking event where I was representing my consulting firm and he was evaluating potential partnerships for Whitfield property. The attraction was immediate and mutual, but the social dynamics became complicated the moment our backgrounds became apparent. David found my independence and strategic thinking refreshing after years of dating women who were primarily interested in his family connections and financial prospects. I was drawn to his genuine intellectual curiosity and his apparent disinterest in the superficial social climbing that characterized much of his usual social circle. The first 18 months of our relationship had unfolded largely outside the sphere of his family influence. We spent time together in professional settings, traveled to destinations where his family name carried no particular significance, and built a connection based on shared values and complementary ambition. David respected my career achievements and supported my entrepreneurial goals in ways that demonstrated genuine partnership rather than patronizing indulgence. I began to believe that our different backgrounds could become a source of strength rather than division. The engagement had been handled with careful diplomacy on David's part. He had proposed during a private dinner at our favorite restaurant, rather than orchestrating an elaborate public spectacle that would have required immediate family involvement. We had planned a wedding that honored both of our traditions, while keeping the guest list manageable and the focus on our commitment, rather than social display. The ceremony had been beautiful and meaningful, attended by our closest friends and immediate family members, who genuinely celebrated our union. However, the honeymoon period of family acceptance had been brief. Margaret Whitfield had tolerated the wedding as an accomplished fact, but had made no effort to integrate me into the broader family social structure. Holiday gatherings included polite acknowledgement of my presence, but little genuine engagement with my perspectives or experience. Business discussions continued as though I were invisible despite my relevant professional expertise. Social planning proceeded without consulting my preferences or accommodating my family tradition. The anniversary celebration exclusion represented an escalation in this pattern of subtle marginalization. The Whitfield family anniversary was not merely a social gathering but a carefully orchestrated display of generational wealth and social influence. The event brought together family members, business associates, and political connections, who comprised the inner circle of their social and professional network. Exclusion from this gathering meant exclusion from opportunities to build relationships that could influence both personal and professional advancement. Margaret's explanation that the celebration was restricted to immediate family members was particularly insulting because it came after months of marriage during which I had consistently demonstrated respect for family traditions, while contributing meaningfully to family discussions when given the opportunity. The arbitrary timeline for family acceptance suggested that belonging was contingent upon earning approval through extended probationary behavior, rather than being granted through the marriage commitment that David and I had made to each other. The deeper implications of this exclusion became apparent as I researched the event planning and guest list through social media posts and professional networking platforms. The gathering would include business partners who had been associated with Whitfield Properties for less time than I had been married to David. Family friends who saw the Whitfields only occasionally would be present while I was deemed too recent, an addition to warrant inclusion. The message was unmistakable. Business relationships were valued more highly than marriage relationships when family identity was being defined. David's response to his mother's decision revealed the complexity of loyalties and expectations that shaped his family relationship. He expressed frustration with the exclusion and argued privately with his parents about their approach to integrating me into family activities. However, he ultimately accepted their decision rather than drawing firm boundaries about respectful treatment of his wife. His position seemed to be that family harmony required tolerance of uncomfortable situations, until time and familiarity eventually created acceptance. This response crystallized my understanding that waiting passively for acceptance from people who had already decided I was unworthy would be both futile and demoralizing. The Whitfield family social structure was designed to maintain exclusive circles of influence that reinforced existing hierarchies, rather than creating opportunities for merit-based inclusion. Attempting to earn belonging through compliance with their expectations would require abandoning the independence and strategic thinking that had attracted David initially and that formed the foundation of my professional success. The anniversary celebration weekend proceeded exactly as Margaret had planned. Social media posts showed elegant gatherings of well-dressed families enjoying exclusive activities at the Hamptons estate that had been in the Whitfield family for 3 generations. David participated in traditional sporting events, business discussions, and social planning conversations that would influence family decisions for the upcoming year. I spent the weekend working on client projects and researching investment opportunities that would prove more valuable than any networking event. The exclusion had been designed to demonstrate my peripheral status within the family social structure, but it inadvertently provided me with clarity about the relationship dynamics I was facing and the strategic choices available for addressing them. I could continue attempting to earn acceptance through patient compliance with family expectations, knowing that such acceptance might never be fully granted and would likely require compromising my professional identity and personal value. Alternatively, I could develop independent sources of influence and social capital that would ultimately provide more sustainable foundations for family relationships and professional advancement. The research I conducted during that excluded weekend revealed fascinating information about the Whitfield family's local real estate holdings and their broader investment strategies in the Hamptons community. Their social prominence was closely tied to their ownership of significant residential and commercial properties that provided both financial returns and social influence within the exclusive community they had helped establish. The family's power derived not merely from inherited wealth, but from strategic accumulation of assets that created ongoing influence over community development and social dynamics. This analysis sparked the beginning of a comprehensive research project that would occupy my attention for the following month. I began studying real estate markets, investment financing options, and community development patterns that could provide insights into how social influence was built and maintained through strategic asset acquisition. The investigation was initially motivated by curiosity about the sources of Whitfield family power, but it gradually evolved into systematic preparation for opportunities that I could not yet clearly envision. The anniversary celebration exclusion had been intended to remind me of my outsider status within the Whitfield family hierarchy. Instead, it became the catalyst for developing independent strategies that would ultimately provide more substantial and sustainable influence than any amount of inherited social positioning could offer. The rejection forced me to recognize that authentic belonging could not be earned through compliance with exclusionary social structures, but would need to be created through strategic actions that demonstrated value and commanded respect. Margaret Whitfield's carefully orchestrated social sleight had unknowingly initiated a process of strategic planning and capability development that would transform the very community dynamics she was attempting to control. The anniversary celebration that excluded me became the first chapter in a story of how systematic preparation and strategic thinking could convert social disadvantage into community leadership, and how authentic achievement could ultimately command more respect than inherited privilege. The most valuable lesson from that painful weekend was understanding that exclusion often creates more motivation for strategic advancement than inclusion ever could. Being excluded from existing power structures forces individuals to develop alternative sources of influence and to build capabilities that are ultimately more valuable than access granted through social positioning alone. The anniversary celebration that was meant to remind me of my place instead became the foundation for building a completely different kind of place in the community. Professional success and personal integrity require the courage to pursue independent paths when existing social structures prove incompatible with authentic values and strategic objectives. The choice between seeking acceptance from those who are committed to exclusion and building alternative sources of influence and respect becomes clear when the costs of compliance are honestly assessed against the benefits of strategic independence. The weekend that Margaret Whitfield designed to demonstrate my outsider status became the beginning of a comprehensive strategy that would ultimately provide more community influence than generations of inherited social positioning could offer. The anniversary celebration that excluded me would eventually be remembered as the moment when underestimation became the catalyst for transformation that exceeded everyone's expectations, including my own. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now, back to the story. The foundation for everything that followed was established during those hours of exclusion, when I chose strategic planning over resentment, and systematic preparation over passive acceptance of social limitation. The anniversary strip that was supposed to remind me of my place instead became the inspiration for creating an entirely different kind of place in the community, one built on achievement rather than inheritance and sustained by capability rather than tradition. Success requires the wisdom to recognize when exclusion becomes an opportunity for independence, and the courage to pursue strategic alternatives that may initially seem impossible but ultimately prove more valuable than the acceptance that was originally sought. The anniversary celebration that ended with my exclusion would eventually be seen as the beginning of a transformation that nobody, including myself, could have anticipated during those difficult hours of rejection and social isolation. The foundation of my eventual triumph over the Whitfield family's social exclusion began in circumstances that would have seemed impossible to connect to future real estate empire building. I was born Isabella Rodriguez in a modest apartment above my parents' restaurant in Queens, where the sound of sizzling onions and the rhythm of Spanish conversations provided the soundtrack to my earliest years. My parents, Maria and Carlos Rodriguez, had arrived from Guadalajara with dreams that extended far beyond the cramped living quarters and 16-hour workdays that defined their initial American experience. Carlos worked construction during the day and helped Maria run the restaurant at night, while she managed every aspect of the business, from purchasing ingredients at dawn to cleaning tables after midnight. Their English was functional but accented, their formal education limited by the economic realities of their youth in Mexico, yet their understanding of business fundamentals was sophisticated in ways that would profoundly influence my later strategic thinking. They understood cash flow management, customer relationship building, and operational efficiency from daily practical experience rather than academic theory. The restaurant, El Corazon, occupied the ground floor of a building my parents eventually purchased through 15 years of aggressive saving and strategic debt management. They recognized that ownership provided both long-term financial security and control over their business environment in ways that renting could never offer. This early exposure to real estate as a pathway to stability and influence would prove foundational to my later investment philosophy, though at the time I viewed their property acquisition simply as prudent business planning rather than wealth-building strategy. My childhood was structured around the restaurant's demands and my parents' unwavering commitment to my educational advancement. Homework was completed at corner tables while my parents prepared for the dinner rush. Spanish lessons occurred during prep work sessions, where my mother insisted I maintain fluency in both languages, despite my preference for English integration with school friends. Mathematics skills developed through helping with inventory calculations and profit margin analysis that my parents discussed openly as part of my business education. The academic expectations were non-negotiable. My parents had immigrated specifically to provide educational opportunities that were unavailable in their home country, and they viewed my scholastic achievement as validation of their sacrifices, rather than optional personal development. Report cards were analyzed with the same attention they devoted to monthly restaurant revenue statements. Parent-teacher conferences were scheduled around restaurant hours, but never missed regardless of the operational complications their absence created. High school brought the first direct encounters with the type of social stratification that would later characterize my relationship with the Whitfield family. My academic performance earned admission to a prestigious preparatory program that brought together students from diverse economic backgrounds, but highlighted the vast differences in cultural capital and social expectation. Classmates discussed college planning in terms of family traditions and legacy admissions, while I researched scholarship opportunities and financial aid requirements. The social dynamics were particularly complex during extracurricular activities and weekend events, where economic disparities became most apparent. School fundraising events featured silent auctions with vacation packages and luxury items that represented annual income levels for my family. Social gatherings occurred at private clubs and family estates that required dress codes and cultural knowledge I was still acquiring. Academic discussions assumed familiarity with cultural references and travel experiences that were foreign to my background. However, these challenging social situations provided valuable education in navigating environments where I was clearly an outsider based on economic circumstances rather than academic capability. I learned to observe carefully, ask strategic questions, and adapt quickly to unfamiliar social expectations while maintaining authenticity to my own values and background. These skills would prove essential for professional success in environments where social fluency was as important as technical competence. College selection required balancing academic ambitions with financial realities in ways that shaped my understanding of strategic planning and resource optimization. I earned admission to several prestigious universities, but chose a state school that offered substantial scholarships and would allow me to graduate without crushing debt. This decision disappointed some teachers who believed I was underselling my potential, but my parents supported the choice as fiscally responsible and strategically sound, given our long-term objective. The university experience provided exposure to business concepts and economic theories that complemented the practical knowledge I had absorbed through years of restaurant operation. Finance courses explained the mathematical principles behind the debt management strategies my parents had used to purchase their building, Marketing classes provided academic frameworks for the customer relationship approaches I had observed throughout my childhood. Economic studies clarified the market dynamics that influenced the restaurant's success during different economic cycles. More importantly, college introduced me to students from backgrounds similar to my own, who were pursuing ambitious professional goals, despite limited family financial resources. Study groups included future lawyers, doctors, engineers, and business leaders, who understood that academic excellence was their pathway to economic mobility and social advancement. These relationships provided peer support and strategic thinking partners who shared similar motivations and challenges. The transition from college to professional employment required navigating workplace environments, where my background was often unusual among colleagues who had grown up with different assumptions about career development and social expectations. Entry-level positions at consulting firms included colleagues who discussed weekend activities at country clubs and family vacation homes as routine experiences rather than aspirational goals. Professional networking events assumed familiarity with cultural references and social protocols that required careful observation and adaptation. However, my background provided distinctive advantages that became apparent as I gained experience in client service and strategic analysis. The work ethic developed through years of restaurant operations exceeded the expectations of supervisors who were accustomed to managing employees with different relationships to responsibility and accountability. Problem-solving skills developed through practical business challenges proved more applicable to client situations than theoretical knowledge acquired through case study analysis alone. Client relationships benefited from my ability to communicate effectively with business owners who had built companies through personal effort rather than inherited advantage. My cultural background provided insights into market segments and customer demographics that were often overlooked by colleagues with more homogeneous life experiences. Language skills and cultural fluency opened opportunities to work with clients who preferred bilingual service capabilities and cross-cultural business understanding. Professional advancement occurred through demonstrated competence and strategic relationship building, rather than family connections or social positioning. Each promotion required proving capability through measurable results and client satisfaction, rather than leveraging existing networks or inherited advantage. This merit-based progression provided confidence in my abilities and clarity about the specific skills that created value in professional services environment. The entrepreneurial decision to establish my own consulting practice was motivated by recognition that independent business ownership would provide both financial potential and professional autonomy that were unavailable through traditional employment relationships. My parents' restaurant experience had demonstrated that business ownership, despite its risks and demands, offered control over strategic decisions and potential for building generational wealth that exceeded what employment could provide regardless of salary level. Starting the consulting practice required significant financial investment and personal risk that tested the business principles my parents had modeled throughout my childhood. Initial capital came from personal savings, accumulated through aggressive cost management and strategic spending decisions. Office space was leased in emerging business districts where rates were affordable for independent practitioners, but still provided professional credibility for client meetings and presentation. The early years of business development required working longer hours and accepting lower initial income than established firms could offer their employees. Client acquisition meant competing against companies with established reputations and extensive marketing resources. Service delivery required building operational systems and quality standards without the infrastructure and support staff that larger organizations provided their consultants. However, the independence and direct client relationships provided satisfaction and learning opportunities that exceeded the security of traditional employment. Every business decision, from pricing strategies to service delivery approaches, required strategic thinking and practical problem solving that enhanced my understanding of how successful enterprises operated across different industries and market conditions. Client successes directly benefited my business growth, while client challenges provided immediate feedback about service quality and strategic effectiveness. The consulting practice specialization evolved toward helping family-owned businesses and immigrant entrepreneurs navigate growth challenges and strategic planning obstacles that larger consulting firms often overlooked or approached without sufficient cultural understanding. This market focus leveraged my background while addressing underserved business communities that had significant potential for growth and development. Within 3 years, the practice had established a reputation for delivering practical strategic solutions that produced measurable results for clients who operated in competitive markets with limited resources. Revenue growth exceeded projections, while client retention rates validated the value proposition that combined analytical rigor with practical implementation support. The seller had approached a limited number of known investors who possessed both the financial capability and the quick decision-making authority necessary for rapid closing. The successful purchase price represented approximately 60% of the property's appraised value, creating immediate equity that would support Robert's development plans, while providing substantial return on investment through either private residence construction or eventual resale. This information crystallized several realizations that would fundamentally alter my approach to social and economic positioning within the Hamptons community. First, significant real estate opportunities were available to investors who possessed adequate financial resources and strategic market knowledge, but these opportunities were often invisible to individuals who lacked access to private investment networks. Second, the exclusive character of the Hamptons real estate market created artificial scarcity that inflated property values, while simultaneously creating opportunities for sophisticated investors who understood market dynamics and timing. Most importantly, I recognized that real estate ownership in this community provided not merely financial investment potential, but direct influence over the very social structures that had been used to exclude me from family gatherings and community acceptance. Property ownership in exclusive communities created automatic membership in homeowner associations, municipal planning discussions, and social networks that were otherwise accessible only through inherited family connections or decades of gradual social acceptance. The conversation with Robert continued for another hour as I probed deeper into the mechanics of Hampton's real estate acquisition and development. He described the complex network of relationships among property developers, local government officials, financial institutions, and established families that controlled most significant real estate transactions in the area. These relationships operated through informal channels and private communications rather than public marketing processes, creating barriers to entry that protected existing property owners while limiting opportunities for new investors. However, Robert also identified specific strategies that enabled outsiders to access these private markets through systematic relationship building, strategic financial positioning, and patient development of local market knowledge. He had spent 5 years building relationships with local real estate professionals, municipal officials, and financial institutions before his first Hamptons acquisition opportunity emerged. The investment in relationship development and market research had enabled him to act quickly when the Meadowbrook Lane opportunity became available. The strategic implications were immediately apparent. The Whitfield family's social influence derived substantially from their ownership of multiple properties that provided both economic returns and community position. Their ability to exclude others from social gatherings was reinforced by their control over physical spaces and community development decisions that shaped the character of their exclusive neighborhood. Challenging this influence through traditional social integration strategies would require decades of gradual acceptance that might never be fully achieved. Alternatively, direct real estate acquisition could provide immediate community membership and influence that would be independent of family acceptance or social approval. Property ownership would create automatic participation in community governance structures and planning decisions that affected everyone in the area, including the Whitfield family. Strategic real estate investment could transform my position from excluded outsider seeking acceptance to community stakeholder with legitimate influence over local development and social dynamics. That evening, I initiated comprehensive research into Hampton's real estate markets, property ownership patterns, and recent transaction histories. The investigation revealed fascinating information about how property control translated into social influence and community power. Established families like the Whitfields owned not only their primary residences, but also multiple investment properties that provided rental income while maintaining control over neighborhood character and development patterns. The research also revealed significant vulnerabilities in the current property ownership structure that created opportunities for strategic acquisition by well-capitalized investors. Several longtime property owners were approaching retirement age without clear succession plans for maintaining their real estate portfolio. Economic pressures from increasing property taxes and maintenance costs were forcing some families to consider selling properties that had been held for generations. Market conditions were creating opportunities for investors who possessed both financial capability and strategic understanding of local dynamics. More specifically, my analysis identified a pattern of recent transactions where established families had sold secondary properties to fund other investments or address liquidity needs. These sales had typically been conducted through private networks rather than public listings, resulting in transaction prices that reflected urgent seller motivations rather than optimal market positioning. The pattern suggested that additional opportunities might emerge for investors who developed appropriate relationships and maintained readiness to act quickly when properties became available. The strategic potential extended beyond simple real estate investment return. Property ownership in the Hamptons created automatic participation in community organizations that influenced local government decisions, environmental protection policies, and social event planning. Homeowner associations controlled architectural standards, landscaping requirements, and neighborhood development approval processes that affected property values and community character. These governance structures provided direct influence over the physical and social environment that defined the exclusive community. I also discovered that several key properties in the Whitfield family's immediate neighborhood were owned by investment entities rather than individual families. These corporate-owned properties represented potential acquisition targets that could provide strategic positioning without requiring direct competition with established family ownership patterns. Investment entity owners were typically more motivated by financial returns than emotional attachment to properties, creating opportunities for competitive offers that could secure strategic location. The research phase extended over 6 weeks, during which I analyzed property records, transaction histories, ownership patterns, and market trends that revealed the underlying economics of Hampton's real estate investment. The investigation confirmed that substantial opportunities existed for sophisticated investors who understood both the financial and social dynamics of exclusive community property ownership. More importantly, the research revealed that strategic real estate acquisition could provide influence and community positioning that exceeded anything available through traditional social integration approach. The awakening moment had evolved from simple recognition of investment opportunity into comprehensive understanding of how property ownership could transform social dynamics and community influence. The anniversary celebration exclusion that had been designed to demonstrate my outsider status had inadvertently revealed the pathway to community membership and influence that was entirely independent of family acceptance or social approval. David's reaction to my emerging interest in Hampton's real estate investment was initially supportive but reflected limited understanding of the strategic implications I was considering. He viewed potential property acquisition as a reasonable financial investment that would provide vacation home benefits while building long-term wealth through real estate appreciation. His perspective focused on personal enjoyment and investment returns rather than community influence and social positioning consideration. However, David's family connections provided valuable access to local market information and professional relationships that could facilitate property acquisition process. His casual conversations with other property owners revealed insights about upcoming sales, development plans, and market conditions that were not available through public information sources. His relationships with local attorneys, financial advisors, and municipal officials could provide procedural guidance and strategic advantages during property acquisition and development process. The strategic planning phase began with establishing specific financial and timeline objectives for Hampton's real estate acquisition. My consulting practice had generated substantial retained earnings that could support property down payments, while business credit lines could provide acquisition financing for appropriately structured transactions. The financial foundation was adequate for significant property purchases, but strategic timing and opportunity identification would be crucial for maximizing both investment returns and community positioning benefits. I also initiated systematic relationship building with Hampton's real estate professionals who specialized in luxury property transactions and private client services. These relationships required careful development, because established professionals were typically protective of their existing client networks and cautious about working with new investors who might not understand local market dynamics or community expectations. The strategic approach involved positioning myself as a serious investor with substantial financial capability and professional expertise, rather than a newcomer seeking guidance about market entry strategy. My consulting practice credentials and demonstrated business success provided credibility with real estate professionals who were accustomed to working with sophisticated clients who understood investment analysis and strategic planning principles. Within 3 months of the initial conversation with Robert Chen, I had developed comprehensive market knowledge, established professional relationships, and created financial structures that would enable rapid response to appropriate property acquisition opportunities. The research preparation phase had confirmed that strategic real estate investment could provide both substantial financial returns and community influence that would fundamentally alter my relationship with the social dynamics that had previously excluded me from full participation in David's family community. The awakening moment had revealed that the anniversary celebration exclusion was not an insurmountable social barrier but rather an indication that alternative strategies were necessary for achieving community belonging and influence. The path forward required strategic thinking and systematic execution rather than patient compliance with social expectations that were designed to maintain existing power structures rather than create opportunities for merit-based advancement. The transformation from excluded outsider to strategic real estate investor had begun with recognition that property ownership could provide community membership and influence that was independent of family acceptance or social approval. The comprehensive planning and preparation that followed would enable strategic actions that exceeded everyone's expectations, including my own, about how quickly and effectively community dynamics could be transformed through strategic real estate acquisition and development. The strategic awakening had revealed the pathway to community influence through real estate acquisition, but transforming this insight into executable action required systematic commitment to developing specialized expertise that extended far beyond my existing consulting capability. Real estate investment in exclusive markets demanded sophisticated understanding of property valuation, financing structures, legal frameworks, and market dynamics that differed substantially from general business consulting knowledge. The commitment to mastering these competencies would require significant personal investment in education, relationship building, and practical experience that would prepare me for strategic opportunities when they emerge. The educational foundation began with enrollment in advanced real estate finance courses offered through Columbia Business School's executive education program. These intensive sessions provided theoretical frameworks for analyzing property investment opportunities, understanding market cycles, and evaluating financing alternatives that could optimize returns while managing risk exposure. The coursework covered commercial and residential property analysis, development, project evaluation, and investment portfolio management strategies that professional real estate investors utilized for building substantial wealth through systematic property acquisition. The academic learning was complemented by practical apprenticeship with Robert Chen, who agreed to mentor my real estate education in exchange for strategic consulting services that supported his expanding portfolio operation. This arrangement provided direct exposure to actual investment analysis, due diligence processes, and transaction management that transformed theoretical knowledge into practical capability. Robert's willingness to share proprietary market insights and professional relationships accelerated my learning curve while providing credibility within local real estate networks. The mentorship arrangement involved participating in Robert's property evaluation processes, attending investor meetings, and contributing analytical support for potential acquisitions that he was considering. Each transaction provided comprehensive education in market analysis, financial modeling, legal documentation, and negotiation strategies that successful investors employed for securing favorable purchase terms and minimizing acquisition risk. The hands-on experience revealed the complexity and sophistication required for effective real estate investment that exceeded anything available through academic coursework alone. Robert's approach to property investment emphasized systematic market research, relationship-based deal flow, and patient capital deployment that prioritized strategic positioning over immediate return. His investment philosophy focused on acquiring properties in locations with strong fundamentals and holding them through market cycles that would create substantial appreciation over extended time horizons. This long-term perspective aligned with my strategic objectives for building community influence and generational wealth rather than pursuing quick profits through speculative transactions. The financial preparation required restructuring my consulting practice operations to generate consistent cash flow while building capital reserves that could support property acquisition opportunities. This involved expanding service offerings to include higher-value strategic planning engagements that produced larger project fees and longer-term client relationships. The business development efforts focused on securing retainer agreements with established clients who valued ongoing strategic support rather than project-based consulting arrangements. The consulting practice expansion also included developing specialized expertise in real estate-related business strategy that created synergies between my professional services and investment activity. Several clients were property developers, construction companies, or real estate service providers who required strategic planning support for growth initiatives. These professional relationships provided additional market insights while positioning my consulting practice within the broader real estate industry ecosystem. Personal financial management required adopting discipline and sacrifice that exceeded anything I had previously practiced, despite my family background of careful resource management. The capital accumulation objectives demanded eliminating discretionary spending, maximizing business profitability, and directing virtually all available resources toward building the financial foundation necessary for significant property acquisition. This meant postponing personal lifestyle improvements, maintaining modest living arrangements, and focusing exclusively on investment preparation rather than immediate gratification. The financial planning also involved establishing credit relationships and financing structures that would enable rapid response to acquisition opportunities when they became available. This required building relationships with private lenders, commercial banks, and investment partners who specialized in real estate financing and understood the unique requirements of Hampton's property transaction. The financing preparation was crucial because exclusive market opportunities often required quick decision-making and immediate capital deployment that could not accommodate extended loan approval process. Legal education represented another essential component of preparation that required understanding property law, contract negotiation, regulatory compliance, and transaction structuring that characterized sophisticated real estate investment. This knowledge was acquired through continuing education courses, professional seminars, and mentorship relationships with attorneys who specialized in high-value property transactions. The legal foundation was necessary both for protecting my interest during acquisitions and for understanding the regulatory environment that influenced property values and development opportunities. The relationship-building phase extended beyond real estate professionals to include municipal officials, community leaders, and local business owners who influenced development approval processes and community planning decisions. These relationships required systematic cultivation through volunteer activities, professional associations, and social events that provided natural opportunities for demonstrating competence and building trust with influential community members. Volunteer service with the Hamptons Historical Preservation Society provided direct exposure to local political dynamics while contributing to community preservation efforts that aligned with my values and strategic objectives. The volunteer work involved researching property histories, coordinating fundraising events, and supporting advocacy efforts that protected community character while enabling appropriate development. These activities created natural opportunities for building relationships with long-term residents while demonstrating commitment to community values rather than purely financial motivation. Professional association membership in the Long Island Real Estate Investment Group provided access to market intelligence, deal flow opportunities, and peer relationships with experienced investors who operated in similar markets. The association meetings featured presentations about market trends, regulatory changes, and investment strategies that enhanced my understanding of regional dynamics while providing networking opportunities with potential partners and advisors. The systematic approach to market analysis involved developing proprietary research capabilities that could identify opportunities before they became widely known within investor networks. This required establishing information sources, analytical processes, and monitoring systems that could detect emerging trends, upcoming sales, and market conditions that created favorable acquisition environments. The research capabilities became crucial competitive advantages for identifying and evaluating opportunities that others might overlook or misunderstand. Property record analysis became a specialized skill that revealed ownership patterns, transaction histories, and market trends that informed strategic planning and opportunity identification. The analytical work involved studying deed transfers, tax assessments, zoning classifications, and development approvals that influenced property values and future potential. This research provided comprehensive understanding of local market dynamics while identifying specific properties that might represent strategic acquisition targets. The preparation phase also included developing operational capabilities for property management, renovation projects, and tenant relations that would be necessary for successful real estate investment beyond simple property acquisition. These skills were acquired through partnerships with experienced property managers, contractors, and service providers who could provide guidance while handling day-to-day operational requirements that might otherwise overwhelm experienced investors. Physical fitness and personal resilience became important considerations as the preparation demands required maintaining high energy levels while managing multiple complex projects simultaneously. The real estate investment preparation was occurring parallel to consulting practice expansion, which created substantial time management challenges that required exceptional personal discipline and efficient work habits. Regular exercise, proper nutrition, and stress management became essential for sustaining the intensive preparation efforts over extended periods. The commitment to growth required accepting short-term sacrifices in exchange for long-term strategic positioning that could provide both financial returns and community influence. This meant declining social activities, postponing personal relationships, and focusing exclusively on capability development that would enable successful property investment when opportunities emerged. The sacrifice was substantial but necessary for building the foundation that could support ambitious strategic objectives. Family support became crucial during this intensive preparation period, as David provided emotional encouragement while respecting the demanding schedule and financial discipline that the growth commitment required. His understanding of my strategic objectives and willingness to adapt our personal lifestyle to support my professional development created essential stability during a period of intensive capability building. His family connections also provided occasional market insights that complemented my systematic research effort. The preparation timeline extended over 18 months, during which systematic education, relationship building, and financial accumulation created comprehensive readiness for property acquisition opportunity. The investment in capability development represented substantial personal and financial commitment that would only prove worthwhile if strategic opportunities emerged and could be executed successfully. However, the systematic approach to preparation created confidence that when opportunities did arise, I would possess the knowledge, relationships, and resources necessary for effective strategic response. The growth commitment had transformed me from someone who understood business strategy in general terms to someone who possessed specialized expertise in real estate investment, local market dynamics, and community influence strategy. The capability development process had been demanding and required significant sacrifice, but it created the foundation for strategic actions that could achieve objectives that had initially seemed impossible given my outsider status within the Whitfield family social structure. Most importantly, the systematic approach to growth and preparation demonstrated that strategic objectives could be achieved through disciplined capability development rather than depending on circumstances beyond personal control. The commitment commitment to learning, relationship building, and resource accumulation had created genuine competitive advantages that could enable successful pursuit of ambitious goals, despite initial disadvantages or opposition from established interests. The comprehensive education and preparation foundation required transformation into specialized competencies that would enable successful execution of sophisticated real estate investment strategies. The transition from theoretical knowledge to practical expertise demanded systematic development of analytical capabilities, negotiation skills, and market intelligence gathering that distinguished successful investors from those who relied purely on capital availability or general business experience. The skill-building phase represented the crucial bridge between preparation and implementation that would determine whether strategic objectives could be achieved through actual property acquisition. Property valuation expertise emerged as the fundamental capability that underpinned all subsequent investment decisions and negotiation strategies. The analytical framework required integration of comparable sales analysis, income capitalization methods, and replacement cost calculations that provided comprehensive understanding of property values under various market conditions and ownership scenarios. Robert Chen's mentorship provided access to proprietary valuation models and market data that enhanced my analytical capabilities beyond what was available through academic coursework or public information sources. The valuation process involved developing sophisticated spreadsheet models that incorporated local market trends, property-specific characteristics, and regulatory factors that influenced both current values and future appreciation potential. These analytical tools required constant refinement as market conditions evolved and new information became available about comparable transactions, zoning changes, and development opportunities that affected property values throughout the Hamptons region. Advanced financial modeling capabilities became essential for evaluating complex financing structures and investment scenarios that characterized high-value property transactions. The modeling work required understanding various debt instruments, equity partnership arrangements, and tax optimization strategies that could enhance investment returns while managing risk exposure. The financial analysis extended beyond simple return calculations to include sensitivity analysis, scenario planning, and cash flow projections that informed strategic decision-making about timing, financing, and exit strategy. Robert provided access to professional-grade financial modeling software and databases that enabled sophisticated analysis of investment opportunities and market trends. The technology tools were combined with proprietary data sources and market intelligence that enhanced analytical accuracy while providing competitive advantages during property evaluation and negotiation process. Mastering these analytical capabilities required substantial time investment, but created expertise that would prove essential for identifying and securing favorable acquisition opportunities. Negotiation skills development involved systematic study of strategic bargaining principles combined with practical experience during actual transaction process. Robert included me in negotiation sessions for his property acquisitions, providing direct exposure to professional real estate negotiations while offering guidance about strategy development and tactical execution. These experiences revealed the complexity and sophistication required for successful negotiations and markets where all parties were represented by experienced professionals. The negotiation training emphasized preparation, relationship management, and creative problem-solving that could identify mutually beneficial solutions during complex transactions. Successful negotiations required understanding seller motivations, market conditions, and regulatory constraints that influenced deal structure and pricing. The skill development process involved analyzing completed transactions to understand negotiation strategies and outcomes that characterized successful property acquisition. Legal document analysis became a specialized competency that enabled independent evaluation of purchase agreements, financing terms, and regulatory compliance requirements without complete dependence on external legal counsel.
While attorney involvement remained essential for transaction completion, the ability to understand and analyze legal documents independently provided strategic advantages during preliminary due diligence and negotiation planning process. The legal education involved studying standard contract forms, title insurance requirements, zoning regulations, and environmental compliance obligations that affected property transactions in the Hamptons region. The specialized knowledge enabled more efficient communication with legal professionals while providing confidence during document review and negotiation process. Understanding legal frameworks also revealed potential opportunities and risks that might not be immediately apparent to less experienced investors. Market research capabilities evolved from general property analysis to sophisticated intelligence gathering that could identify emerging opportunities and market trends before they became widely recognized.
The research process involved developing systematic monitoring of property listings, transaction records, municipal planning documents, and economic indicators that influenced local real estate markets. The market intelligence capabilities provided crucial timing advantages for strategic investment decisions. The research methodology included building relationships with property appraisers, tax assessors, and municipal officials who possessed knowledge about local market conditions and upcoming changes that could affect property values. These information sources required careful cultivation through professional interactions and community involvement that demonstrated genuine interest in local development and preservation issues, rather than purely financial motivations. Due diligence processes became increasingly sophisticated as my experience expanded to include environmental assessments, structural inspections, and regulatory compliance verification that characterized professional property acquisition. The due diligence work required coordinating multiple specialists while managing timelines and information flow that enabled informed decision-making within compressed transaction schedules. Developing efficient due diligence capabilities reduced both transaction costs and risk exposure, while enabling confident investment decisions. Project management skills became essential as investment activities expanded to include renovation projects, permitting processes, and contractor coordination that enhanced property values while creating additional complexity that required systematic management. The project oversight responsibilities demanded understanding construction processes, municipal approval requirements, and vendor management that extended beyond financial analysis into operational execution capability. Roberts development projects provided practical education in construction management, architectural coordination, and regulatory compliance that characterized successful property improvement initiatives. The hands-on experience revealed both opportunities and challenges associated with property enhancement, while building relationships with contractors, architects, and municipal officials who would prove valuable for future development projects. Relationship management evolved from initial networking efforts into systematic cultivation of professional partnerships that provided competitive advantages through enhanced deal flow, specialized expertise, and collaborative investment opportunity. The relationship building required consistent engagement with real estate professionals, lenders, contractors, and municipal officials who influenced property markets and development opportunities throughout the region. Professional relationships were developed through industry associations, community organizations, and social activities that provided natural opportunities for demonstrating competence while building trust and mutual respect. The relationship-building process required authenticity and genuine value creation, rather than superficial networking that focused purely on immediate transactional benefit. Long-term relationship development created sustainable competitive advantages that enhanced investment opportunities over extended time horizons. Technology proficiency became increasingly important as real estate investment required sophisticated analytical tools, market databases, and communication systems that enhanced efficiency while providing access to specialized information and professional network. The technology capabilities included mastering real estate investment software, financial modeling applications, and market research platforms that professional investors utilized for strategic planning and transaction management. The technology skills were combined with systematic information management that enabled efficient analysis of multiple investment opportunities while maintaining comprehensive records of market research, relationship contacts, and transaction history. The organizational capabilities became crucial for managing increasing complexity as investment activities expanded and required coordination of multiple concurrent projects and relationships. Communication skills required adaptation to real estate industry norms and professional standards that differed from general business consulting practice. The real estate profession emphasized relationship-based transactions, personal credibility, and long-term reputation building that required consistent demonstration of competence and integrity across multiple professional interactions. Effective communication required understanding industry terminology, negotiation customs, and relationship protocols that facilitated successful professional engagement. Risk management capabilities became essential as investment activities involved substantial financial commitments and complex transactions that could result in significant losses if not properly managed. The risk assessment framework required systematic evaluation of market risks, financing risks, regulatory risks, and operational risks that characterized real estate investment. Developing comprehensive risk management approaches enabled competent pursuit of investment opportunities while maintaining appropriate caution about potential adverse outcomes. The skill-building phase culminated in successful completion of my first independent property analysis and investment recommendation that demonstrated comprehensive integration of analytical capabilities, market knowledge, and strategic thinking. The project involved evaluating a waterfront property that Robert was considering for acquisition, requiring independent analysis of financial projections, market positioning, and development potential that could inform his investment decision. The analytical work required coordination of property inspections, market research, financial modeling, and legal document review that demonstrated mastery of the complete due diligence process. The final investment recommendation included comprehensive analysis of risks and opportunities while providing strategic guidance about negotiation approach and financing structure that could optimize investment returns while managing potential adverse scenarios. Robert's positive response to my independent analytical work provided confirmation that the skill-building process had achieved its objectives of developing genuine expertise that could support independent property investment activity. The validation of analytical capabilities created competence for pursuing independent investment opportunities while maintaining mentorship relationships that could provide guidance during complex transactions. The 18-month skill-building phase had transformed theoretical knowledge into practical expertise while creating professional relationships and analytical capabilities that would enable successful pursuit of strategic property acquisition objectives. The systematic approach to competency development had required substantial personal investment, but created genuine competitive advantages that could support ambitious investment goals despite initial disadvantages within established real estate investor network. The comprehensive skill development process demonstrated that sophisticated professional capabilities could be developed through systematic education, mentorship relationship, and practical experience that created expertise comparable to individuals with substantially more experience or background advantage. The commitment to excellence in skill building had created the foundation for strategic actions that could achieve objectives that had initially seemed impossible given my outsider status within the Hamptons real estate community. The specialized competencies developed during the skill-building phase required systematic application to comprehensive market analysis that would reveal specific investment opportunities within the Hamptons real estate landscape. The observation period represented a crucial transition from capability development to strategic intelligence gathering that would inform actual property acquisition decisions. This phase demanded patient analysis and pattern recognition that could identify favorable market conditions, property opportunities, and timing considerations that would maximize both financial returns and strategic positioning within the exclusive community structure. The systematic market monitoring process began with establishment of comprehensive data collection protocols that tracked property listings, transaction completions, price trends, and inventory patterns across different neighborhood segments within the Hamptons region. The analytical framework required integration of multiple information sources, including multiple listing service data, public transaction records, tax assessment changes, and zoning modification applications that provided insights into market dynamics and upcoming opportunities. The data collection methodology involved daily monitoring of new property listings, with particular attention to waterfront properties, estate-sized parcels, and investment-grade residential properties that aligned with strategic acquisition criteria. Each listing was analyzed for pricing relative to comparable sales, time on market patterns, and seller motivation indicators that suggested negotiation opportunities or urgent sale requirements that could create favorable purchase conditions. Transaction analysis revealed significant patterns that informed strategic planning and opportunity identification approach. The research demonstrated that luxury property sales in the Hamptons operated according to distinct seasonal cycles, with peak activity during spring and early summer months, when wealthy buyers were most actively engaged with property search activity. However, the most favorable purchase opportunities often emerged during off-season periods, when seller motivation increased due to carrying costs and limited buyer activity. The analysis also identified specific neighborhood segments that experienced different market dynamics based on proximity to water access, historical significance, and development restrictions that influenced both current values and future appreciation potential. Properties within walking distance of ocean beaches commanded premium pricing, but also attracted broader buyer interest that created competitive bidding situations. Conversely, properties with bay access or inland locations often provided better value propositions while still offering substantial luxury amenities and community positioning benefits. Ownership pattern analysis became a sophisticated research methodology that revealed insights about property turnover rates, holding periods, and seller characteristics that informed strategic approach development for potential acquisition. The research indicated that approximately 30% of luxury properties were owned by financial entities or family trusts rather than individual buyers, suggesting that investment-motivated ownership was common and that strategic acquisition approaches should consider both emotional and financial decision-making factors. The ownership research also revealed that several prominent families maintained multiple property holdings within the region, creating potential opportunities for strategic acquisition of secondary properties that might be more readily available for sale than primary residences with stronger emotional attachment. Investment properties and vacation homes represented potential targets that could provide community positioning benefits while offering more straightforward transaction processes than family estate acquisition. Municipal planning document analysis provided insights into future development trends, infrastructure improvements, and regulatory changes that could significantly impact property values and community character over multi-year time horizon. The planning research revealed several upcoming municipal initiatives, including harbor dredging projects, road improvement, and utility upgrades that would enhance property values in specific neighborhoods while potentially creating acquisition opportunities during construction periods when temporary inconveniences might discourage other buyers. Zoning analysis became particularly valuable for identifying properties with development potential or expansion possibilities that were not immediately apparent from standard property marketing material. Several properties included underdeveloped portions that could support additional construction or subdivision opportunities that would enhance long-term value while providing strategic positioning within established neighborhoods. Understanding zoning regulations and development approval processes created competitive advantages for evaluating properties that other buyers might underestimate. Environmental compliance research revealed both opportunities and risks associated with waterfront property ownership that required sophisticated analysis for effective investment decision-making. Wetland regulations, flood zone designations, and coastal erosion considerations significantly influenced both property values and development potential. However, properties that complied with environmental requirements often provided stable long-term holdings, with protection from overdevelopment pressures that could compromise neighborhood character. Financial market analysis extended beyond local real estate trends to include broader economic indicators that influenced luxury property demand and buyer financing capability. Interest rate trends, stock market performance, and taxation policy changes affected buyer purchasing power and investment demand that created cyclical opportunities for strategic property acquisition. Understanding macroeconomic factors enabled better timing decisions about when to pursue aggressive acquisition strategies versus maintaining patience for more favorable market conditions. The observation process also included systematic analysis of property marketing strategies and pricing approaches that revealed seller motivations and negotiation opportunities. Properties that remained on the market for extended periods often indicated seller flexibility about pricing or terms that could create acquisition opportunity. Conversely, properties with multiple price reductions suggested urgent seller motivations that could enable aggressive negotiation approaches. Professional network intelligence gathering became a sophisticated information collection process that leveraged relationships with real estate agents, property managers, contractors, and service providers who possessed insider knowledge about upcoming listings, seller motivations, and market conditions that were not publicly available. These information sources required careful cultivation through consistent professional engagement and value-added interactions that created mutual benefit rather than one-sided information extraction. The network intelligence revealed that significant property opportunities often emerged through private channels before public marketing occurred. State settlements, family financial changes, and business relocations created sale opportunities that were initially communicated only within established professional networks. Building relationships with estate attorneys, financial advisors, and family business consultants provided early awareness of potential acquisition opportunities that could be pursued before competitive market conditions developed. Competitive buyer analysis became essential for understanding market dynamics and developing strategic advantages during property acquisition process. The research revealed that active luxury buyers in the Hamptons market included technology entrepreneurs, financial industry executives, entertainment industry professionals, and international investors who possessed substantial financial capabilities and sophisticated advisory teams. Understanding competitor capabilities and preferences informed strategic positioning during competitive bidding situations. The competitive analysis also identified buyer characteristics and decision-making patterns that influenced negotiation strategies and transaction timing. Some buyers prioritized speed of transaction completion while others focused primarily on purchase price optimization. Understanding these preferences enabled strategic approach development that could provide advantages during specific transaction opportunities. Seasonal market pattern analysis revealed sophisticated timing opportunities that could enhance acquisition success while reducing purchase costs. Winter months often created favorable negotiation conditions due to reduced buyer activity and increased seller motivation related to property carrying costs and market illiquidity. However, winter acquisitions required enhanced due diligence capabilities because property inspections and market validation were more challenging during adverse weather conditions. The seasonal analysis also revealed that property marketing often increased during late winter and early spring, as sellers prepared for peak buying season activity. Early engagement with properties during initial marketing phases could provide negotiation advantages before competitive interest developed among multiple qualified buyers. Property condition analysis became a specialized evaluation capability that enabled identification of properties with deferred maintenance or modernization requirements that created acquisition opportunities through reduced purchase prices or enhanced improvement potential. Properties requiring significant renovation work often attracted less buyer interest but could provide superior long-term returns through strategic improvement programs that enhanced both property values and personal enjoyment. The condition analysis required development of professional relationships with contractors, architects, and specialized service providers who could provide accurate cost estimates
for improvement projects while identifying potential complications that might affect renovation feasibility or budget requirements. Understanding renovation costs and complexity enabled more accurate evaluation of total investment requirements and potential returns from property improvement initiatives. Market cycle analysis provided insights into longer-term trends that influenced strategic planning about acquisition timing, holding periods, and eventual exit strategy. Historical analysis revealed that Hampton's luxury property markets experienced approximately 7-year cycles with distinct phases of growth, peak activity, correction, and recovery that created different opportunity profiles during each cycle phase. Understanding cycle patterns enabled strategic planning about when to pursue aggressive acquisition strategies versus maintaining conservative approaches that preserved capital for superior opportunities during more favorable market phases. The cycle analysis also informed decision-making about improvement timing, financing strategies, and portfolio diversification that could optimize long-term returns while managing market risk exposure. The comprehensive observation and analysis period extended over 12 months, during which systematic market monitoring, pattern recognition, and intelligence gathering created detailed understanding of Hampton's real estate dynamics and specific opportunities that aligned with strategic acquisition objectives. The analytical work had identified several potential target properties while building the market knowledge and professional relationships that would enable successful transaction execution when optimal opportunities emerge. The observation phase had transformed general market awareness into sophisticated investment intelligence that provided competitive advantages for strategic property acquisition. The systematic approach to market analysis had revealed opportunities and timing considerations that would inform strategic decision-making about when and how to pursue specific property acquisitions that could achieve both financial objectives and community positioning goals. The comprehensive market analysis and intelligence gathering activities required systematic documentation and strategic preparation that would enable rapid response to acquisition opportunities when favorable conditions emerge. The documentation phase represented the critical bridge between analytical understanding and executable investment strategies, requiring creation of detailed investment frameworks, financial structure, and operational procedures that could support sophisticated property transactions within compressed timeframes, typical of exclusive real estate markets. The strategic documentation process began with development of comprehensive investment criteria that established specific parameters for property evaluation, financial analysis, and acquisition decision-making. The criteria framework incorporated location preferences, property characteristics, financial return requirements, and strategic positioning objectives that would guide systematic evaluation of potential opportunities while maintaining focus on properties that aligned with broader community influence goals rather than purely financial consideration. The investment criteria documentation specified target property types, including waterfront estates, historic properties with development potential, and strategic parcels that provided community positioning advantages within established neighborhoods. The criteria also established minimum acreage requirements, architectural consideration, and infrastructure access standards that would ensure acquired properties could support both personal residence objectives and long-term investment strategies that enhanced community influence and social positioning. Financial parameters documentation included detailed analysis of acceptable purchase price ranges, financing structure preferences, and return on investment requirements that would justify acquisition decisions while maintaining conservative risk management approaches. The financial criteria incorporated both immediate cash flow considerations and long-term appreciation projections that reflected sophisticated understanding of luxury real estate investment dynamics and market cycle patterns that influenced property values over extended holding periods. Legal documentation preparation involved establishing corporate structures and financing relationships that would enable rapid transaction completion while providing optimal tax efficiency and liability protection for substantial property investors. The legal preparation required coordination with specialized attorneys who understood complex real estate transactions and could provide guidance about entity selection, financing documentation, and regulatory compliance requirements that characterized sophisticated property acquisition. The corporate structure development included establishment of limited liability companies that would hold property investments while providing operational flexibility and tax optimization benefits. The legal entities were structured to accommodate potential partnership opportunities and portfolio expansion while maintaining privacy and asset protection that were essential for high-value property ownership in exclusive communities where public attention and social dynamics influenced investment success. Financing preparation required establishment of credit relationships and capital access arrangements that could support rapid property acquisition when opportunities emerged. The financing documentation involved coordination with private lenders, commercial, and investment partners who specialized in luxury real estate transactions and understood the unique requirements of Hampton's property acquisitions that often involved substantial purchase prices and compressed transaction timelines. The financing arrangements included pre-approval processes for acquisition loans, establishment of credit lines that could provide bridge financing during transaction period, and development of equity partnership structures that could enable larger acquisitions through collaborative investment approaches. The financial preparation was designed to eliminate financing delays that could compromise acquisition opportunities in competitive market situations where multiple qualified buyers were pursuing similar property. Due diligence preparation involved creation of systematic evaluation procedures and professional service relationships that could provide comprehensive property analysis within timeframes required for effective acquisition decision. The due diligence framework incorporated property inspection protocols, environmental assessment procedures, title research requirements, and regulatory compliance verification that would ensure informed investment decisions while managing potential risks associated with complex property transactions. The due diligence preparation included establishment of relationships with specialized service providers, including property inspectors, environmental consultants, survey professionals, and title insurance companies who could provide rapid response capabilities when acquisition opportunities required immediate evaluation. The professional network development ensured that comprehensive property analysis could be completed efficiently without compromising analytical thoroughness or risk management standards. Market intelligence documentation involved creation of comprehensive property databases and analytical tracking systems that could provide immediate access to market data, comparable transaction information, and property history research that would inform acquisition decisions and negotiation strategy. The market intelligence systems incorporated automated monitoring of property listings, transaction records, and market trend indicators that would provide early warning about emerging opportunities or changing market conditions. The intelligence documentation also included development of proprietary analytical models that could rapidly evaluate property investment potential through integration of market data, financial projections, and strategic positioning consideration. The analytical models provided standardized evaluation frameworks while accommodating property-specific characteristics and market conditions that influenced individual investment decisions. Negotiation strategy documentation involved creation of systematic approaches for property acquisition negotiations that could adapt to different seller motivations, market conditions, and competitive situations while maintaining consistent strategic objectives. The negotiation frameworks incorporated preparation procedures, strategy development methodologies, and tactical execution guidelines that would enhance acquisition success rates while maintaining professional relationships essential for future opportunities. The negotiation preparation included development of alternative strategy approaches for different transaction scenarios, including competitive bidding situations, urgent seller circumstances, and complex family estate transactions that required sensitive handling of emotional considerations alongside financial negotiations. The strategic documentation provided flexibility while maintaining focus on acquisition objectives that aligned with broader community positioning goals. Property improvement documentation involved creation of systematic approaches for post-acquisition enhancement projects that could increase property values while establishing community presence and influence. The improvement planning incorporated architectural consultation, contractor relationships, and project management frameworks that could execute renovation and development projects efficiently while maintaining quality standards appropriate for exclusive community environment. The improvement preparation included establishment of relationships with architects, contractors, and specialized service providers who understood luxury property requirements and could provide superior craftsmanship while adhering to community architectural standards and regulatory requirements. The professional relationships were developed through referrals from existing network contacts and evaluation of previous project portfolios that demonstrated capability for high-quality residential construction and renovation work. Community integration documentation involved development of systematic approaches for establishing social presence and influence within existing neighborhood structures while respecting established traditions and relationship dynamics. The community integration planning incorporated volunteer service opportunities, social event participation, and professional contribution strategies that would demonstrate authentic commitment to community values rather than purely transactional property ownership motivation. The community integration preparation included research into local organizations, charitable initiatives, and civic activities that provided natural opportunities for contributing expertise while building relationships with established residents and community leaders. The integration strategies were designed to establish genuine community membership through value creation rather than attempting to purchase social acceptance through property ownership alone.
Risk management documentation involved comprehensive analysis of potential challenges and mitigation strategies that could address adverse scenarios during property acquisition, ownership, and community integration processes. The risk analysis incorporated market risks, regulatory risks, community relations risks, and operational risks that could affect investment success while providing systematic approaches for managing potential adverse outcomes. The risk management preparation included development of contingency plans for various scenarios, including market downturns, regulatory changes, community opposition, and personal circumstances that could affect property ownership strategies. The contingency planning provided flexibility while maintaining focus on strategic objectives that could adapt to changing conditions without abandoning fundamental goals for community positioning and influence development. Exit strategy documentation involved creation of systematic approaches for eventual property disposition that could optimize financial returns while maintaining community relationships and strategic positioning. The exit planning incorporated market timing considerations, disposition methodologies, and successor ownership approaches that could preserve community influence while achieving financial objectives during optimal market conditions. The exit strategy preparation recognized that property ownership in exclusive communities involved long-term relationship considerations that extended beyond simple financial transactions. The documentation provided frameworks for maintaining community connections and influence even during ownership transitions, while ensuring that strategic investments could achieve financial objectives when appropriate market conditions emerge. The comprehensive documentation and preparation phase extended over 6 months, during which systematic framework development, professional relationship establishment, operational procedure creation provided complete readiness for strategic property acquisition when favorable opportunities emerge. The preparation represented substantial investment in capability development, that would only prove worthwhile through successful execution of actual property transactions that achieved both financial and strategic objectives. The documentation phase had transformed market intelligence and analytical capabilities into executable investment strategies supported by comprehensive operational frameworks and professional relationships. The systematic approach to preparation had created genuine competitive advantages that could enable successful pursuit of ambitious acquisition objectives despite initial outsider status within established real estate investor networks and exclusive community social structure. The comprehensive preparation and documentation frameworks had established operational readiness. Yet the transition from capability to action required recognition of specific opportunities that aligned with strategic objectives while presenting favorable acquisition conditions. The opportunity recognition phase represented the culmination of systematic market analysis and relationship building, demanding sophisticated judgment about timing, market conditions, and strategic positioning that would determine whether months of preparation could translate into successful property acquisitions that achieved both financial returns and community influence objectives. The first significant opportunity emerged through Robert Chen's professional network when estate attorney Patricia Morrison mentioned during a regional real estate investment meeting that the Ashford family estate was entering preliminary disposition planning due to changing family circumstances. The Ashford property represented a prime waterfront holding of 8 acres on Dune Road, with substantial historic significance and strategic positioning within the most exclusive section of the Hamptons residential community. The property had been held by the Ashford family for 3 generations and had never been publicly marketed, making any potential acquisition opportunity exceptionally rare and strategically valuable. Patricia's mention of the Ashford situation provided early intelligence about what could become a transformative acquisition opportunity if approached with appropriate sensitivity and strategic thinking. The family circumstances involved inheritance planning considerations for elderly parents who maintained residence in the main estate, while adult children lived in different regions and possessed varying levels of interest in maintaining the family property holding. The complexity of multiple stakeholder interests created potential opportunities for strategic acquisition, while requiring sophisticated understanding of family dynamics and estate planning consideration. The preliminary research into the Ashford property revealed extraordinary strategic potential that exceeded simple real estate investment consideration. The 8-acre waterfront parcel included not only substantial primary residence facilities, but also 2 guest cottages, private beach access, and historic gardens that had been featured in architectural preservation publications. The property's location provided immediate proximity to several other significant estates, including parcels owned by families within the same social networks that had excluded me from community acceptance. More significant, the Ashford property's position on Dune Road placed it within the specific neighborhood segment where the Whitfield family maintained their own historic estate, creating the possibility that strategic acquisition could provide direct geographic proximity to the family structure that had originally motivated my real estate investment strategy development. The opportunity represented potential transformation from excluded outsider to influential neighbor within the exact community space where my acceptance had been previously rejected. The property analysis revealed additional strategic advantages beyond location and size consideration. The Ashford estate included substantial undeveloped portions that could support additional construction or subdivision opportunities under current zoning regulations, providing potential for community influence through future development decisions that could affect neighborhood character and property value. The development potential created opportunities for strategic planning that could enhance both property values and community positioning through thoughtful improvement initiatives. Historical research into the Ashford family ownership revealed that the property had been acquired for approximately $50,000 and had never been subjected to significant commercial development pressures despite substantial appreciation in regional property values over subsequent decades. The family's long-term ownership and stewardship had created a legacy of responsible development and community involvement that would need to be respected during any acquisition and ownership transition. The estate planning research also revealed that current ownership involved multiple family members with different financial circumstances and varying levels of emotional attachment to maintaining family property holding. Several younger generation family members lived in distant metropolitan areas and appeared more interested in financial liquidity than property retention, creating potential opportunities for strategic acquisition that could provide acceptable outcomes for all family stakeholders while achieving strategic objectives for sophisticated investors. Concurrent with the Ashford opportunity development, additional properties within the broader Hamptons region began appearing in private investor networks that suggested increasing availability of strategic acquisition opportunities. The market intelligence revealed that several established families were beginning estate planning processes that could result in property dispositions over upcoming years, creating a potential pipeline of investment opportunities that could support systematic portfolio development rather than isolated property acquisition. The expanding opportunity recognition included analysis of the Patterson family's bayfront property on Shinnecock Hills Road, which encompassed 12 acres with development potential for multiple residential parcels under current municipal planning guidelines. The Patterson property offered different strategic advantages compared to the Ashford estate, including greater development flexibility and potential for creating multiple residential opportunities that could enhance community influence through diverse ownership and development strategy. The Patterson opportunity research revealed that family ownership was transitioning due to business expansion requirements that necessitated capital liquidation for commercial investment purposes. The sellers appeared motivated by financial optimization rather than urgent liquidity needs, creating opportunities for strategic negotiation that could provide favorable acquisition terms while meeting seller objectives for efficient transaction completion and optimal financial returns. A significant opportunity emerged through municipal planning document analysis that revealed upcoming infrastructure improvement projects that could substantially enhance property values in specific neighborhood segments, while temporarily creating acquisition opportunities during construction period when convenience considerations might discourage less strategic buyers. The infrastructure improvements included utility upgrades, road enhancement projects, and harbor facility expansions that would provide long-term benefits while creating short-term acquisition windows for investors willing to accept temporary inconvenience. The infrastructure opportunity analysis identified several properties that would benefit substantially from upcoming public improvements while currently being undervalued due to limited buyer awareness about planned enhancement projects. The timing considerations required coordination of acquisition activities with municipal project schedules while maintaining flexibility about completion timelines that could affect property access and construction coordination during ownership transition. Professional network intelligence provided additional opportunity recognition through relationships with estate planning attorneys, financial advisors, and family business consultants who possessed early awareness of upcoming property disposition decisions before public marketing processes began. The network intelligence revealed that several additional families were initiating estate planning conversations that could result in property sales within 12 to 18-month timeframes, creating opportunities for strategic relationship building and preliminary acquisition discussion. The network-based opportunity development required sophisticated relationship management that balanced information gathering with respectful recognition of family privacy and decision-making autonomy. The approach emphasized providing value through strategic consultation and market expertise while avoiding premature acquisition pressure that could compromise professional relationships essential for long-term investment success within close-knit community networks. Market cycle analysis provides additional context for opportunity recognition by identifying that regional luxury property markets were entering a transition phase where increased inventory availability coincided with economic uncertainty that was reducing buyer competition for high-value acquisition. The market conditions created strategic windows for sophisticated investors who possessed adequate capital and decision-making capability to pursue opportunities that might face less competitive pressure than during peak market periods. The market timing analysis also revealed that seasonal considerations could enhance acquisition opportunities during winter months when property marketing activity typically decreased and seller motivation often increased due to carrying costs and limited showing activity. The seasonal timing provided strategic advantages for investors willing willing to conduct due diligence and transaction completion during less favorable weather conditions while competing against fewer alternative buyers. Strategic positioning analysis examined how multiple property acquisitions could create synergistic community influence that exceeded the sum of individual property ownership benefits. The analysis revealed that systematic acquisition of several strategic properties within defined geographic areas could provide substantial influence over community development decisions, homeowner association governance, and municipal planning processes that affected regional character and property value. The strategic positioning considerations included opportunities for coordinated development activities across multiple properties that could enhance overall neighborhood appeal while creating economies of scale for improvement projects and ongoing property management. The systematic approach to property acquisition could provide community leadership opportunities while generating superior financial returns through coordinated enhancement initiatives that benefited entire neighborhood segments. Competitive analysis revealed that opportunity recognition was occurring within an investor environment that included several sophisticated buyers who possessed comparable financial capabilities and strategic understanding of regional market dynamics. The competitive landscape required differentiation through superior market intelligence, more efficient transaction processes, and strategic relationship advantages that could provide preferential access to acquisition opportunities before broader market competition emerged. The competitive positioning strategy emphasized building authentic community connections and providing genuine value creation that distinguished strategic acquisition approaches from purely financial investment motivation. The approach focused on demonstrating long-term commitment to community stewardship and neighborhood enhancement, rather than short-term investment speculation that might create resistance from existing residents and community leadership structure. Financial market analysis provided broader economic context for opportunity recognition by examining interest rate trends, taxation policy considerations, and general economic conditions that influenced luxury property demand and created cyclical opportunities for strategic acquisition. The macroeconomic analysis suggested that current market conditions provided favorable acquisition environments that might not persist indefinitely, creating urgency for pursuing identified opportunities while favorable circumstances remained available. The financial context also revealed that increasing property tax assessments and municipal service costs were creating economic pressures for some longtime property owners who faced rising ownership expenses during periods of limited income growth. These economic dynamics created additional opportunities for strategic acquisition that could provide acceptable outcomes for sellers while enabling strategic investors to acquire properties at favorable valuation. The comprehensive opportunity recognition phase had identified multiple potential acquisition targets while building understanding of market dynamics and strategic considerations that would inform acquisition prioritization and execution planning. The opportunity analysis had revealed that favorable market conditions and strategic preparation had created unprecedented access to significant property acquisition possibilities that could transform community positioning and social influence within the exclusive Hamptons environment that had previously excluded me from full participation and acceptance. The identification of specific acquisition opportunities required systematic positioning activities that would enable successful pursuit of targeted properties while establishing credibility and competitive advantages within the exclusive Hamptons investment community. The strategic positioning phase represented the crucial transition from opportunity recognition to active market engagement, demanding sophisticated relationship management, financial positioned community integration that would differentiate my approach from competitors while creating preferential access to properties that aligned with strategic objectives for community influence and social positioning. The positioning strategy began with systematic cultivation of relationships within the estate planning and family advisory networks that influenced major property disposition decisions before public marketing processes commenced. The relationship development focused on demonstrating genuine expertise in strategic property investment, while establishing credibility as a serious buyer capable of efficient transaction completion and appropriate community stewardship of significant residential properties. Patricia Morris, the estate attorney who had initially mentioned the Ashford opportunity, became a key relationship for accessing information about upcoming disposition situations while providing guidance about appropriate approaches for family estate transactions that required sensitivity to emotional considerations alongside financial negotiation. Patricia's willingness to include me in private investor networks reflected recognition of my professional competence and serious investment intentions rather than speculative interest in luxury property acquisition. The relationship with Patricia required consistent demonstration of value through strategic insights about market conditions, investment analysis, expertise, and understanding of estate planning considerations that affected property disposition timing and transaction structure. The professional engagement evolved from initial market intelligence gathering into collaborative consultation, where my analytical capabilities provided useful perspective for her clients' strategic planning while creating mutual benefit through enhanced professional relationships. Concurrent positioning activities included systematic engagement with municipal officials and community planning organizations that influenced development, approval processes, and infrastructure planning decisions affecting property values throughout the region. The civic engagement required authentic commitment to community welfare and regional development goals rather than purely transactional relationship building focused on immediate acquisition benefit. The municipal relationship development included volunteer service with the Hamptons Environmental Protection Committee, where my business strategy expertise contributed to long-term planning initiatives for sustainable development and natural resource preservation. The volunteer work provided legitimate opportunities for building relationships with municipal officials while demonstrating genuine commitment to community values that transcended immediate property investment motivations. The Environmental Committee participation also revealed insights, upcoming regulatory changes, and infrastructure projects that could significantly impact property values while creating strategic opportunities for investors who understood planned development and their implications for specific neighborhood segments. The advanced knowledge of municipal planning provided competitive advantages for acquisition timing and property evaluation that were unavailable through public information sources alone. Financial positioning required establishment of comprehensive funding arrangements that could support rapid response to acquisition opportunities while providing flexibility for multiple concurrent transactions that might emerge during favorable market conditions. The financial preparation involved coordination with private lenders, commercial banks, and investment partners who specialized in luxury real estate financing and understood the unique requirements of Hampton's property acquisition. The financial arrangements included establishing acquisition credit lines that provided immediate access to substantial capital without requiring extended approval processes that could compromise time-sensitive opportunities. The credit facilities were structured to accommodate various transaction sizes and property types while maintaining conservative debt ratios that preserved financial flexibility for ongoing portfolio development and property enhancement initiatives. Development of equity partnership structures that could enable larger acquisitions through collaborative investment approaches with other sophisticated investors who shared similar strategic objectives for community positioning and long-term property holding. The partnership frameworks provided scalability for pursuing opportunities that exceeded individual financial capabilities while maintaining operational control over acquisition decisions and property management strategy. Community integration positioning involved systematic engagement with established residents and local organizations through authentic contribution of expertise and resources rather than superficial social networking focused on immediate acceptance or recognition. The community engagement required patience and consistency while building genuine relationships based on mutual respect and shared commitment to community welfare and regional preservation. The integration strategy included strategic consultation services for local nonprofit organizations that addressed community challenges and preservation initiatives. The professional contribution provided valuable perspective for organizational planning while demonstrating competence and commitment that earned respect from established community leaders and longtime residents who
who influenced social dynamics within exclusive neighborhood networks. The nonprofit consultation work revealed additional insights about community priorities and decision-making processes that affected property values and development opportunities throughout the region. Understanding community concerns about overdevelopment, infrastructure capacity, and environmental protection informed strategic approaches for property acquisition enhancement that aligned with established resident preferences rather than creating opposition or resistance. Professional network expansion included systematic relationship building with architects, contractors, and specialized service providers who understood luxury property requirements and could provide superior implementation capabilities for post-acquisition enhancement projects. The professional relationships were essential for ensuring that property improvements could achieve quality standards appropriate for exclusive community environments while maintaining efficiency and cost-effectiveness. The contractor relationship development involved evaluation of previous project portfolios, client references, and professional capabilities that could support sophisticated renovation and development initiatives. The professional network provided confidence about implementation capabilities while creating competitive advantages through access to skilled craftsmen and specialized services that might otherwise require extended search and evaluation process. Market intelligence positioning involved establishing systematic information collection capabilities that could provide early awareness of emerging opportunities while monitoring competitive activities and market conditions that influenced acquisition timing and negotiation strategy. The intelligence gathering required coordination of multiple information sources, including professional networks, municipal records, and industry publications that tracked regional development and transaction activity. The market intelligence capabilities included development of proprietary analytical tools that could rapidly evaluate property investment potential while comparing opportunities across different market segments and timing considerations. The analytical framework provided standardized evaluation processes while accommodating property-specific characteristics that influenced individual investment decisions and strategic positioning opportunities. Competitive positioning analysis revealed that successful differentiation required demonstrating superior market knowledge, more efficient transaction capabilities, and genuine commitment to community stewardship that distinguished strategic investment approaches from purely financial speculation or short-term ownership intention. The differentiation strategy emphasized long-term perspective and authentic community engagement that created preferential relationships with sellers and professional service providers. The competitive advantage development also included building reputation for efficient transaction completion, appropriate community integration that encouraged estate attorneys and family advisors to recommend my investment approach to clients who prioritized smooth disposition processes and responsible successor ownership rather than maximum price optimization alone. The reputation building required consistent demonstration of competence and integrity across multiple professional interactions. Strategic timing analysis examined seasonal patterns, market cycles, and specific family circumstances that created optimal windows for pursuing targeted acquisitions while minimizing competitive pressure and maximizing negotiation advantage. The timing considerations required balancing market conditions with individual property situations and seller motivations that varied significantly across different disposition scenarios. The timing analysis revealed that winter months often provided strategic advantages for serious investors who possessed adequate due diligence capabilities and could complete transactions during periods when property marketing activity typically decreased. The seasonal positioning required preparation for accelerated evaluation processes while maintaining thorough analytical standards that ensured informed investment decisions despite compressed timeframes. Negotiation positioning involved development of strategic approaches that could adapt to different seller motivations and family dynamics while maintaining consistent focus on acquisition objectives that aligned with long-term community positioning goals. The negotiation preparation required understanding emotional considerations alongside financial factors that influenced estate disposition decisions and family agreement process. The negotiation strategy development included preparation for complex stakeholder situations where multiple family members possessed different priorities and decision-making authority that could complicate transaction completion. The strategic approach emphasized finding mutually beneficial solutions that addressed various family concerns while achieving acquisition objectives through creative transaction structures and sensitive relationship management. Communication positioning established professional reputation, respectful engagement, and sophisticated understanding of community values that encouraged existing residents and property owners to view potential acquisitions as positive community development rather than threatening changes to established neighborhood character. The communication strategy required authentic commitment to community preservation combined with appropriate enhancement initiatives that could improve overall neighborhood appeal. The community communication involved systematic engagement with neighborhood associations and property owner groups that influenced local development decisions and social dynamics affecting property values and community character. The engagement required genuine participation in community planning discussions while providing valuable expertise that contributed to informed decision-making about regional development and preservation priorities. The comprehensive strategic positioning phase extended over 8 months, during which systematic relationship building, financial preparations, and community integration created optimal conditions for pursuing specific property acquisitions that could achieve both investment objectives and strategic positioning goals within the exclusive Hamptons community structure. The positioning activities had established credibility and competitive advantages that would enable successful pursuit of targeted opportunities when favorable acquisition conditions emerged. The strategic positioning had transformed market preparation into active community engagement, building professional relationships and competitive advantages that distinguished my investment approach from other potential buyers who might possess comparable financial capabilities but lacked systematic preparation and authentic community commitment that characterized successful long-term property ownership in exclusive residential environments. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.